Okay, awesome. Welcome to this week's AI training where we're going to be talking about how to be the human behind your AI marketing team. So we're going to just jump right in. And I'm going to show you two org charts for building out your AI marketing team. One is going to be a really simple, like, here's where you could start with AI if you are just dipping your toes in, getting used to it, trying to understand kind of how it works. And then I'm going to show you like when it makes sense to build out and add more employees and have those employees have specializations and what those could be. So if you have any questions, just ask away since it's an intimate group today. Um, okay, you can see this Canva here. Okay, you can see this all right. Start here. So this is what I'm calling your minimum viable dream team. So there's two different GPTs that I would recommend when you're just starting out. One is a copywriter, and the other is a marketing strategist. And the copywriter is important because like we write so much in our businesses. Like, I don't know about you, Dennis and Stacy, but like writing posts, sending emails, if you're writing about the services or products that you're selling, you have to come up with like, what's the right word? Not like catchy information, but just like powerful, persuasive information about the things that you're selling so that you can have conversations and build relationships with people. So having this copywriter is important because unless this is a talent and a skill that comes naturally to you, this can be like pretty emotionally taxing. I don't know about you. I don't know if you want to put in the chat, like on a scale from 1 to 10, how much does it drain you to like, are you energized by copywriting or is it more of a draining thing? I know for me, if I spent honestly, like if I spend like 30 minutes copywriting, I need a break. Like that's about as much as I can handle before I'm like, oh, okay. I need to like walk around the block. Um, so having a copywriter that like gets you and knows you, it can speak like you is so helpful. Even if you're not copying and pasting exactly what it's written, but even if you're just editing what it's saying, it gives such a great like starting place. Oh, okay, you can write for hours, Dennis. That's awesome. What drains you is having to be strategic and mindful about business goals. Okay, interesting, because that's like the opposite of me. So this is perfect. I'm excited. Um, okay, so I'm going to show you also like how to train your AI copywriter so that it does a really good job because maybe you can put in the comments like what what results have you found if you have used a copywriter like are sometimes the results kind of can be let down because you're like, oh, that wasn't that good, or like that didn't really sound like me. Um, and so we'll talk about how to do a really great job of making a great copywriter. Okay, then the other component that I recommend is having a marketing strategist. So this is going to help you with like big picture decisions of things like where am I going to go to find the people I'm looking to connect with? What are the things I should be doing to be capturing that opportunity? It's really helping you decide like what should you be doing versus what you should not be doing. And strategy is about having a priority list, right? Like being able to execute strategy means that you know what you will do and what you won't do, and what's a valuable use of your time and what's not a valuable use of your time. And I look at strategy as a not necessarily a set in stone, like one time thing. I like to set it for a certain period of time, like, okay, this month, this is what I'm going to focus on executing. But always, taking time to reconcile back and say, well, is the thing I decided to do this month, was that working? Did that get me the results that I wanted, or do I need to make a shift? So we'll kind of dive into that and talk about that today. Um, do you have any AIs currently built out, either of you, Stacy or Dennis? You can just unmute if you want to.
Yeah, I didn't consciously build one in the way that you would build one, but I guess I trained one a little bit.
Okay.
And I always give the prompt, I don't want you to change anything, just do the typos and grammar mistakes and tell me what's your opinion. And then based on that opinion, I might rewrite some parts and I go back and forth.
Okay, cool. So rather than writing for you, you're using it more as an editor and giving you
Yeah.
feedback.
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. Um, are you wanting to build out a copywriter that can act in your voice and help you write things, or do you want to keep that role?
Um, for LinkedIn and my the brand that is focusing on working with leaders, CEOs, I would like to have a copywriter for me.
Cool.
For the other brand that I see more like a passion project, I want to stay the writer myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So when we're talking about this today, let's focus on the other brand where you're like, I would love to have it be um, helping you write. So, um, oh, Stacy, there you are. I see you in the comments. I would like to put in Gary Halbert and Jay Abraham how-tos that I was personally tutored by. Okay, maybe say more about that. Can you come on off mute? And also, welcome, Rocio. Rocio is a friend of mine that I met in another AI group that I'm in, and she is like a kick butt, take names kind of gal. So fun to have you. But Stacey, tell me more about this when you when you're
Okay.
saying,
So
yeah,
like Gary Halbert, Abraham, they're like the world's greatest copywriters. They,
totally.
in fact, Gary Halbert still has, I think, the most successful letter that ever was generated ever. He's passed away, but I did boot camps for him and for Jay Abraham. Jay Abraham has copyright wrote for um, Tony Robbins and
Yeah, he's a
everybody
big
that's
name.
anybody.
Yeah,
And he has really expensive boot camps and he still is going. That's because he has to buy two Rolls Royce that are all opted out at the same time. He has quite a lifestyle.
sure.
Anyway, I did his first boot camp. So I have a lot of like the words that they love to use and I have headlines that
Yeah.
they works out. How do I just input that in and then AI draws from that?
Yeah, that's a good question. That is what I would call a database, and we're going to talk about that and how to use
Oh,
it. So I'll show you when we get to that part. But yeah, that all of that is essentially, well, so if we kind of go like take a step back a little bit and look at how AI actually functions, particularly these AIs that are language based, like ChatGPT and Claude, um, they are interpreting language. And so let's say that you've written a book and you want your AI to help you take concepts from your book and turn that into articles that you're publishing every week. If you're
uh-huh.
training that AI, like if you were to go into ChatGPT and say, hey, write like Natalie Champlin, it's not going to have enough data to know what that actually means, right? But if I upload my book and I say, this is Natalie Champlin's book, analyze this book and give me your analysis on what are the ways that she writes? What are the topics that she writes? How would you explain what her voice is, right? Then it's going to know and understand and be able to pull from that. So the same way that you can take, let's say like the top 100 highest converting email subject lines that Jay Abraham has ever written, right? You could take that list and upload it, and it's going to notice patterns and words and the like the qualities and the quantitative and qualitative data that those 100 headlines provide, it's going to know and be trained on that and get smarter because you're giving it that information. Right. Um, and that's kind of how like all of these AIs, if you want your AI to function better and do a better job, then you need to be providing it with really good data sets. And then what I call like onboarding your AI employee, meaning you've got to give it a job description. You've got to tell it, this is the job you're going to do for me. Here's what you're optimizing for. Now, go and do your job. So, we'll talk about that a little bit more here, but I want to show you what to do next. So if this is kind of where you might start, let me give you a bigger picture kind of org chart of AIs. This is what I use most frequently. So there's me at the top, right? There's always, at least right now, there's a need to have human intelligence partnered with AI, because I could get on my Facebook feed right now and I could scroll for maybe 5 seconds before I found something that I know for a fact was written with AI. Like how many of you have started to notice, this sounds a little bit like AI? Like when you see people's content and posts, if it says something like, um, well, take your business to new heights is kind of an obvious one. But another one that I'm starting to see is, this isn't just a book. This is a revolution. Like, this isn't just a blank. Is starting to be like a common thing that I'm personally seeing with AI. Grappling with, yeah, this is a movement. Yeah, you'll see things that are like, mm, they can be a little bit of a giveaway that people are using AI, which is not necessarily a problem. But I think when we are marketing our business, one of the most important things we need to always keep at the principle and core of what we do is remembering that we're building relationships, right? We're building relationships with the people who are potentially going to hire us. And this is where the concept of strategy comes into play, because you need to make decisions about what you want that relationship to look like and what you want to communicate so that your copywriter is trained up really well. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Oh, sweet, here comes Valentina. Um, so for me, here's what I use. We're gonna start here. I've got my high performance team. Okay, primarily what I use is what I call my Tony Robbins coach. Um, I literally made a prompt, and I think I've maybe shared this with you guys before, and I can share this. I'm happy to share all of the GPTs that I've talked about. But I've made a Tony Robbins, like literally be my Tony Robbins, you know. And for that GPT, here's what I use it for. Um, my Tony Robbins life coach helps me with my mindset. He helps me to prioritize my tasks. So what I will do is literally just bring down, like sometimes I write it out. Here we go. So this was my list. Like I have like 10 things from 2 days ago that I needed to get done. So I will either like handwrite this or I'll just type it into my Tony Robbins chat and I'll say, hey, these are all the things. I'm super overwhelmed. I'm not sure where to start. Which, take this list, tell me an estimate for how much time each of these is going to take to accomplish, assign a dollar value to each of these things, and then make a list of what I should be doing first. And you might say, make a list of the shortest time task to the longest time, or order the list from most valuable to least valuable. But this life coach that I use, he does so much to help me prioritize, get unstuck, get things moving forward. The other thing that I have like 200 people who have been using this ChatGPT agent. And one of the pieces of feedback that I got was I have a friend who wrote a complete quiz, like personality style quiz with this Tony Robbins coach. And he took it and made 6 different profiles. And there is, so you take this assessment, you're one of these 6 profiles, and then based on that, you can get a free report that tells you about, who you are, or you can get a paid report that's like 20 pages and it's really in depth into your leadership style, how to get a raise or promotion, how to get along with people. Like, it's incredible. And he created all of that just from this like Tony Robbins style coach. So this GPT has been a really valuable resource. And again, I'm happy to share that. I don't have a link ready. I should have done that, but I'll get that to you guys afterwards if that's helpful to you. So that's kind of my like high performance side of support for Natalee, the CEO. And then I've got my marketing team. Okay, so yes, I will share the replay and the chat 100%. I'm going to put everything up on YouTube. And actually, I just built a Facebook group that I'm going to put everything in. So I'll put it all there too. Okay, so here are the 2 strategists that I use. One is for brand and messaging. Now, to me, messaging comes before marketing because what you communicate is so, so important. And I would say it's probably even more important than like all the other things you're doing to get your message out there. Because if you're saying the wrong message to the right people, they're not going to hear you, right? They're not going to get it or they're not going to value it. So messaging is all about creating value. And what am I going to say so that people choose me? If you guys have seen some of my other stuff, this is where I talk about what I call life currencies. And this life currencies are currencies other than money that people use to make buying decisions and decisions about whether or not they're going to value the thing they're buying. So like, for example, um, a life currency is the reason why someone would buy a first class ticket versus not a first class ticket. If I went to New Zealand one time and I just bought like the cheapest ticket because that's what I wanted. I was like, okay, I don't have like $5,000 for a, first class ticket and I can sleep on the plane, even though that'd be fabulous. I just don't have that money right now. But what I want is to get to New Zealand to go on this vacation, right? But my neck was like stiff. I was like broken for like 3 days after that flight because I had to like sleep like this and it was not comfortable, but I didn't care. What I cared about more so was saving money, right? Rather than my physical like comfort. But for someone else, they would have chosen to pay the money to have a little bed on the airplane. Um, Same thing with if you go to a sporting event and you're thirsty, you're like, okay, I'm going to pay $5 for a bottle of water, even though it would be like 50 cents if I just got it from the gas station. So you value it because it's convenient, right? So getting really clear about your messaging and the way that you're talking about yourself, that's what a brand strategist can do. Okay. And I have a brand strategist GPT that I'll share with you guys. But that's kind of how I use that component. How many of you feel like you would find value from improving your messaging? Or do you feel pretty good about that? Like on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 is like, I feel amazing about my messaging. I'm really clear on how I communicate what I do and why it's valuable. And 1 is like, I really need help with that and don't feel super good about it. Okay, 4, 5. So like, not bad, but like room for improvement. Um, okay, fabulous. So that is one AI that I use. And that person has a different skill set than the marketing strategist. which is why I have them as two separate things. The marketing strategist is going to tell you, where do I find people? Like, what are the actual campaigns and activities that I should go take this message and go communicate that message to? So I know last week, Dennis, we had talked about, you're like, I would love to have a well thought through marketing strategy. And so if you're up for it, I want to build out a marketing strategist and have it walk through and build a marketing plan while we're on this call, just to show how this works, but also to give you guys nuance into like how to prompt it and how to talk to it and what to be telling it and stuff like that. So um awesome. Okay, and then these two GPTs have a market researcher. That's what I call it. So here's how I use my market researcher. This is an AI where things can kind of get a little bit messy, and I can ask it questions and say like, okay, this is my client, but like, help me understand, what problems do they have? You know, because a lot of the times when you are building out a brand or marketing strategist, you need to direct it and you need to tell it, these are the problems that my ideal client has. These are the desires that my ideal client has. These are the factors that my client finds valuable. But what if you don't know those answers? That's where your market researcher comes into play. So this helps to gather data and insights about your clients and about your competitors. You could also add a third section where it has insights about you, meaning what makes you different. What unique skills or experiences do you bring to the business? What vision do you have for your company? And like, what preferences do you have? For example, if you're like, I am not interested in speaking on podcasts, being on stage, like that is not the way I want to grow my business, then those are important preferences to plug into your marketing strategist so that it knows not to make those recommendations. Because a marketing plan needs to be customized to you and what your business is like. What are you optimizing for? What are the outcomes for the business? Um, and what are the preferences that you have? Okay, and why do you place your marketing research after your branding and marketing strategist? Or in which order do you work? Okay, so good, fair question. I'm putting this only in like a hierarchy of like the market researcher reports to the brand strategist and the market strategist. So you're right in the sense that the market researcher would actually come first and it would inform your strategists. But like, since I've just built this out as kind of like a org chart, it's more of like you report to these people, if that makes sense. Cool. Cool. Okay. And then we already kind of talked about the copywriter, but here is where I would place the copywriter as kind of they're an execution team member. Their job is to get things done. Their job is to write stuff so that you can use it. And so that's where they're plopped. Any questions about this job chart? What insights or ahas or what's any valuable takeaways that you're learning from um, what we've covered so far? Yeah, go ahead. You just unmute if you want.
Well, sorry for being late to the party. So basically, I have missed a lot, but I'm still kind of confused that those different employees or whatever specialists, they are siloed. Like you start with the market research, I understand it, and then you create the resume like the outcome of all the work that is done in this particular chat. You create like a summary and you put it in one of those. And then you have again the same summary, or you have a new summary from which one comes first? Messaging one, yes. And then you take the outcome and put it into the marketing strategy, where I end up doing it all in one chat, and I do approach it differently, and I can see that it becomes really messy in a lot in it, and it derails from time to time. So, and I kind of asked you this question before, and I'm obviously, slow in getting it.
No.
So you still recommend that, like, clearly separate the chats and activities. It's like when you start the market research, you stop there, you take the summary, and you start a new chat
So
with a
that's
new
what,
role.
yeah, that's what I do. And here's why. Have you ever had a mentor or someone that you're like, okay, I need your help to make the right decision about something. And they're like, okay, I'm happy to help you make that decision. But what they need to know are like the important details and the important factors that are relevant to making that decision. And what they don't want is to get into the weeds. They're like, okay, I'm not here to help you make decisions about, say, like your ideal client. They're like, tell me who you're trying to target. And if you don't know the answer to that, they're like, okay, you need to go back, figure that out, and then come talk to me. Right? That's kind of how I look at these is um, I've separated out my market researcher because this is the place where I can be messy and I can really figure things out. And the reason is when you are telling your marketing strategist, like, okay, help me develop this plan, it's going to say, okay, well, I need to know who's your client, what is the outcome you provide, what's the service you provide, so that I can make decisions to help you make this plan. But if you're like, well, I'm not sure, can you help me figure that out? It can get convoluted and it can get messy and it can be like, well, wait, if you say, well, I think my people really value, a half day VIP session. And then you're like, well, actually, no, I think what they really want is like a 6-week course. And then it's like, okay, well, which one? you know and so I put things over here because that's like it's the playground, it's where I can brainstorm and explore. This GPT is specifically trained to help me unpack those things, make decisions about make final decisions. Then I take those final decisions up here because a final decision is what this strategist needs in order to provide a great plan for me to take action on. So, um, like,
Well, that's a really good explanation. Thank you.
okay,
Now it makes sense.
okay. But like your copywriter, you would want to use the same copywriter over time because you're giving it feedback and saying, I don't like how you wrote this, but I do like how you wrote this. Or, hey, I want to add a story. Like this thing just happened to me last week, and it would be a great story to share when I'm trying to communicate the principles of uh, prioritizing or some sort of principle that you might teach, right? And then it's forming this archive of stories that it can then pull from, right? So it makes sense that you want to train it over time um, and have it learn over time. But in some cases, you just want to provide, here's the final decision. I need you to give me the answer for it. And then the other component to this, which we did talk about last week, is databases. So let me just cover this from a high level, and then we'll come back and we'll show how databases kind of plug into this org chart. But your database, so databases are like up-leveling the skill set of your employee. So if you hired an employee who was fresh out of college and had never run a marketing campaign in their life, they would provide you different recommendations and different work than if you hired like what's his name? Jay Abraham, right? Because Jay Abraham has like tons of experience, knows what works and what doesn't work. And so our database is like it's like downloading experience to our AI employees, right? So here are some examples of a database. Creating a Word document that has 10 of your best blogs that you've ever written. Because that is going to train your copywriter on like, here's what you sound like. So I don't know if you guys probably have noticed, I would assume you've noticed, my copywriting style is like, I'm a little bit cheeky with some of the things that I say, right? Like I'll use parentheses and be like, haha, just kidding. Or I'll be like, I just have a little bit of sass to me, right? Whereas someone else, like I have a client who's a pharmacist, she's like super direct, to the point, not really going to joke around, and that's her style. But there's no way for your AI employee to know this unless you train it. So you have to train it on that type of data. Another example of a data set or a database would be creating a document that has like, let's say you got an email from someone and you're like, whoa, that was such a good email. Like that made me want to open it. You could put the subject line and you could put the email in there. Maybe you see a sales page from a competitor and you're like, oh my gosh, they're selling this program that's like something I want to do. And they do such a good job of explaining it. Mine's a little different, but wow, I really like how they did this. You could take that, put it into a Word document and feed that to your AI and say, hey, this is a competitor. I love how they come across. What can we learn from this to write our own? Or another example of a database might be you build out a spreadsheet and it has all the different qualities of a qualified ideal client. So maybe you've got their age. Maybe you have the influencers that they follow, a list of books that they like. Maybe you actually have legit conversations that say, here are in their words, the problems that they're describing to me that they have. And, as you build out a spreadsheet that has as much information about your ideal client as you can possibly put in there, you're going to know, or your AI employee is going to really understand your ideal client because it has a lot of insights about them, right? But unless we compile this and train our AIs on it, it's going to do a generally good job. But databases are what makes the difference between like a pretty good job and holy cow, this sounds just like you. How did you do this? This is really, really good, right? So this is a list right here of databases that I am currently creating. So for example, Rosia is actually in this group that I'm in, and we have a mutual friend named Jeff, and Jeff has a list of like 100 viral social media posts, like posts that have legit gone viral. And he's given us like a PDF of this, and you can take that PDF and upload it into your AI and say, hey, this is a list of 100 viral pieces of content. Like, analyze this. What is making these go viral? Like, what are the commonalities behind this? Now take that and make my post a viral post, right? But it's only doing that because it's been trained on like 100 different pieces of content that have actually gone viral before, right? So we're taking something that we know works and we're training our AI on it. Another one is like personal stories. AI makes up stuff. It's like, my client John did this blah, blah, blah thing. And you're like, I never had a client named John. But it's not going to know who you've worked with until you tell it, right? So coming up with personal stories. And here's like a really cool way you can do that. Literally, like if you don't want to write it out, just take your phone and record a voice note, or like I use otter.ai. That's like my Zoom companion. It's a transcribing app. And I will just share a story and it'll transcribe that. I'll take the transcription, maybe clean it up a little bit, and then put that inside of a Word doc called Natalee's Personal Stories and Anecdotes. And then I can re-upload that to my AI, and it's going to be able to pull from that story. So is this list helpful? What questions do you have about databases? Because this is like a little bit nerdy, but it's also helpful and important to making your AIs work better for you. Yeah, just go ahead and unmute.
I have a question. If we are so lucky and you will be generously sharing this custom chats,
Yeah.
they are trained on your input, right? Or how can we add then our own databases if we have a custom chat from you or from a different person?
Yeah.
Because we don't have access to the backend to feed it.
Right. Right. So all the ones that I make to share are not trained on anything specific to Natalee. They're trained on like, be a good marketer, be a great brand expert. And then I leave room for you to customize it and say, okay, this is Valentina's brand. This is her target audience. This is her stories. So why don't we actually jump into doing a demo, and I can show you how you can upload that yourself.
Okay, so basically the basic option of uploading files, this is where we can use, so we are not going into the back end of adding it to custom chat GTP, but we are just uploading the files into the chat.
Yeah, so if you were actually building your own GPT, you could put it in the back end. When you're using someone else's GPT, you just upload it on the front end. Yeah. Any questions on any of this before we'll switch over to do a demo? Yeah, Dennis.
How do you make sure that your ChatGPT threads do not get deleted after, I don't know, weeks and months? Because I imagine that you want to hold on to them for, years, ideally, so they get
They
better and
just,
better and better.
yeah, they just all live right here. Like, unless you go and delete them, they don't get deleted. So I have like 8 bajillion chats. But
Because in my case, some of them started to delete themselves after weeks of not being used.
oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. That is something I don't know because mine haven't ever been deleted. They just kind of get pushed down the line. But like there are specific ones that I use all the time, like this Tony Robbins one, my AI persona builder, like I use those all the time. Um, so maybe I don't know. I'm not sure why that would happen. The other
Okay.
thing you can do though, like if you see this link up here. Oh, wait, am I sharing my screen? Yes, I'm sharing my screen, right? Okay. You can copy this link and um, it'll take you directly to that chat. So that might be
Hmm.
a good way for you to like save your chat, right? The other thing is like it can get a little bit like overwhelming. You're like, holy cow, there are so many conversations happening, and scrolling to find it kind of isn't very fun. So sometimes um like this is you might have like a list of your chats, so like my Tony Robbins life coach, I might just like put a link to the chat here so that I can quickly go find them. Or, you could like bookmark it, right? I also have a bunch of ones that are bookmarked, so it'll take me straight to that specific chat.
That's cool.
So
Okay, thank you.
totally.
Natalee, I have a
Yeah.
quick question. So basically, this AI persona builder chat that you have shared last time, if let's say I knew everything about, let's say what I want to see in a marketing employee, this is the chat I will use to build the one that you're going to share with us. Is it correctly understood?
I don't know if I followed your question exactly.
See,
Can
you
you say it
you
again?
have the AI persona builder, right? That
Right.
you have shown us
Yes.
last time. And today you are sharing the employees from the marketing department.
Yes.
So if I knew what I want to see, let's say in a brand strategist, then I will use AI persona builder to describe what I want to build a chat as a brand strategist GPT.
Yes, you could absolutely do that. So, what Valentina is talking about is I've built an AI persona builder, meaning it's an AI that builds AIs, essentially. And you could use that to create, like, for example, right now, I want to build a marketing strategist for Dennis. You could build that, or you could just build it straight through chat GPT, which I think will do just because it offers kind of some more fundamentals that I think are important to see in action. But you could do it either way. But it's going to follow the same process. So, like the first step is to assign it a role. So we'll start this out. You will act as the marketing strategist for Dennis Pascal, CEO of what company did you want to do?
DennisPascal.com, my CEO brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to tell it, okay, you're an employee. Like here's the role that you have, right? Then we want to tell it what it's going to specialize in. So one of the things that Dennis had mentioned last time we were on was having a well thought through marketing strategy, right? So one thing I want to note is what does well thought through mean to you? And I mean that like literally to you, Dennis, but also to like all of us. Like, what does it mean to have something that's well thought through? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Can I share?
Yeah.
Okay. So in my brain, I love to write. So here's what happens. I love to write. I could easily write stuff and I could just post it on LinkedIn and see what happens. Um, the goal is I want to find new clients that want to work with me. I have like a few spots open. And what I don't know or feel lost in is what would that take for me on a day-to-day basis? How many hours a day to accomplish exactly that goal, given all the different tools that are available, for example. Like, it's not enough for me to just write something from the heart and post it on LinkedIn and hope that something happens. So I want to be clear, what are the steps? How much time will it take for me to achieve my goal? What are the possibilities, like including, do I cold call people? Where would I start? what freebie offer could I market on my website for people to download? All these things so that
Mm-hmm.
I have a plan and I know, okay, I'm starting tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'm going to be sitting here at my desk for 3 hours,
Mm,
and the same for the next, I don't know, 8 days, 10 days. And then hopefully I will have a few clients signed up, let's say.
yeah. Okay. Awesome. So here's what we'll put. You'll specialize in creating a well thought through marketing strategy and turning it into an actionable plan that clarifies the actions on a, well, it clarifies my priorities. I'm going to say you will act as for me, Dennis Pascal. Um, Clarify my priorities on a day-to-day basis and time commitment involved to execute the plan. Um, what what personality do you want your marketing strategist to have? Do you want it to be direct and to the point? And do you want it to be creative? Do you want it to be sassy? Like tell me what, if you were actually hiring someone to be your marketing strategist, like what are the qualities you want in them?
Uh, Direct, straight to the point, but with a big heart, warm-hearted, um, compassionate. I want people to know that they are seen very clearly. They read and they know exactly, yeah, this is for me. And there's a certain sharpness to it, but it comes with love. So they know, hey, they're safe here. That's the ideal.
Okay, awesome.
I don't feel
Oh.
so much the sassiness, if I'm honest, because I love sassiness. Like I
Sure.
absolutely love it. It's just I want people to feel that they are the center of my attention and it's not me and my sassy personality, if this makes sense.
I'll
Yeah.
bring the sass, you bring the love and compassion. Right? Like this is why it's different for everyone, right? Okay, so you're direct to the point, you have a big heart, compassionate, and keep our potential clients in mind, um, and uphold the highest quality in all we do. Um, Everything you and I do creates trust with our clients and tells them that they are the center of my attention.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, awesome. So let's tell them a bit about your clients. So our target audience is CEOs.
Mhm.
Here's what I know enough about Dennis that maybe I can fill in some of this and you help, you can override anything, but CEOs looking for a safe space to um, reflect, resolve challenges, and explore who they are. Is that accurate?
Um, I think they know who they are to some degree. It's more like um challenges and explore hidden layers of emotion and meaning in their day to day.
Okay. Since we only have 8 minutes, let's just keep going. That's, I think, a pretty decent explanation. Okay, so let's talk about their problems. The problems of our target audience, and then we're going to talk about their desires. So what are the problems that they're facing?
They're stressed and overwhelmed.
Mm,
They
okay.
don't sleep well. Um, they can't stop thinking about work and or they worry a lot about, yeah, their work. They cannot shut down and or sorry, they don't know how to rest. They don't know how to be at peace. There's always something going on in their minds.
What
Their
about,
relationship. Sorry.
Go ahead.
The relationships are suffering because of the stress. They are less available to their co-workers, employees, and or family members in the private home.
Okay. Let's talk about what do they want? What are their desires?
They want to, yeah, feel at peace with themselves, have more inner space to think clearly, to be more innovative and creative again.
They
They
want to
want
feel
to be,
energized, I'm sure.
yes, more energized, possibly also like um, get a sense of nurture and sort of reignite their spark again.
Hmm. Want to feel nurtured?
Yeah.
Okay,
And for
awesome.
some of them, they might be, I don't know how to phrase this differently, but they might be on a spiritual search. What is next for me?
Mhm.
I've accomplished all of this. What's the meaning behind that? Why am I doing what I'm doing? What's the next layer of depth in my life that I kind of want, but also don't know how to articulate?
Okay, awesome. So let's go with that. Now we're going to talk about the services that we offer. Um, let's just do one. What's
Mhm.
your primary offer?
It's a 6-month container or, yeah, container experience, which includes two or an optional third session per month and ongoing messenger support.
Okay, 6-month coaching experience. And okay, let's go to okay, so here's what we're gonna do next. We're gonna say, based on what you know about me, how can you help me? Me and my business. How can you help me? Um, here's another thing, just this kind of a side tip, as this memory is also specific to my ChatGPT account. So I'm gonna have to go in here and delete this later because I am not Dennis. But that's also one of the benefits of having your own account is you can have you can add memory, and that memory goes across all chats. So it's kind of like your
Wow.
mega database. Okay,
Mhm.
so here's what my goal will be to create strategy that positions Dennis as a go-to for CEOs who need a safe, nurturing space to rediscover themselves and find meaning amidst the challenges they face. Here's how I would approach it. Clarify your unique value proposition. We need to clearly articulate what sets you apart from other executive coaching services. You offer more than professional coaching. You provide emotional space and deep personal transformation. That's pretty good. So it's suggesting some key messaging things here. A space where CEOs can exhale, um, reigniting purpose, restore relationships, peaceful productivity. So like it's providing a bit of thoughts and feedback on what it said. Um, Here are the recommendations it's giving for your marketing channels. So LinkedIn, email newsletter, podcast and speaking, webinars and workshops. So this is where, we could ask it to say, okay, this is the current mix that it's recommending for you. Like this is the current marketing mix that it's recommending. Like you said, do I cold call? Do I this? Do I that? So what we could do is say, based off of like what you think, Dennis, if you're like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do all of those things, or if you're like, okay, I'm not doing webinars, or I'm not gonna be doing a podcasting or something, we can customize it from there. Um, it's providing a content strategy of how what you might communicate. Um, the tone will be compassionate yet direct, showing you understand their pain and offer a real solution. So it's giving you or suggestions on how it can help you with content. Lead gen. We could go in and say, okay, I'd like to develop a lead magnet. Like, let's come up with 10 ideas. So it's kind of giving big picture plan. So what I would do next, well, here it's asking, does this resonate with your vision? Anything you want to adjust or focus on? I would say, well, I'm going to go over time. If anyone needs to drop off, feel free to drop off. But I think we'll go maybe 5-10 minutes more. So let's start by building my marketing strategy for September and October. Do you have a specific number of clients that you want to, new clients to sign on over September and October?
Yeah, between 3 and 5 max.
3 to 5 new clients. How many of those would you like to come from referrals, renewals, or new people?
I do not mind actually. Ideally referrals because that's I think the best way always. But yeah,
Okay.
wherever they come from, if it's a good match, I'm happy.
Okay. Do you think you'd have any renewals? Would you want to do some type of
Um,
like renewal outreach type campaign?
Actually, I've been in touch with a few of my former clients, and none of them had particular interest at this moment to continue. So I don't think that's a good strategy.
Okay, so let's do this. I'd like 3 to 5
What
new clients, and I would love for them to come from referrals or renewals, but I know that I'll also need to find new opportunity.
yeah.
Um, Give me a marketing strategy that will help me achieve this goal. Then break it down into a day by day, hour by hour plan of how I should be spending my time. Let's see what happens. Let's send that off into the AI universe and see what happens here.
By the way, thank you for your time
Heck
going
yeah,
over
thank
time.
you. This is great. I'm enjoying this. Okay, so to achieve your goal, we'll focus on maximizing referrals and renewals while cultivating new opportunity. Here's a comprehensive strategy. Referral program. Here's your action steps. Reach out to past and current clients to remind them of your referral program. Offer a personalized incentive. You'll need to create a personal email or message for each client, highlighting the value they've received from working with you and encouraging them to refer. Use LinkedIn to directly engage with past clients and key contacts, subtly reminding them of your referral program. So you could take this and say, this is great. I love this. Like, help me write a message, right? Renewal engagement. Okay, so you've kind of already done that. We might throw that one out if you feel like you've made a good effort and it's not coming to fruition. Leveraging your network for referrals. Post a case study of a recent success story to showcase the depth of transformation that you offer. Send a personalized message to key contacts in your network, mentioning the type of client you're looking for and offering a short, no pressure conversation. I really like that because I think case studies and before and afters are a really effective way to showcase how, like why work with you.
I have a client who just finished, a CEO client who finished working with me for 2 years, and he offered to do a video testimonial.
Yeah. Okay.
I can post. Yeah.
That's fabulous. I would I have a set of interview questions that you could use, and I'm happy to share. And you could essentially interview him and pull out like what that transformation was and what the value was, and then record that conversation use the transcription, turn that into your case study, and then share that case study online. You
Yeah,
could
that would be amazing.
also even take that. So it's the next suggestion that it has is to host a 30-minute webinar. Reigniting your spark, finding peace and meaning as a CEO. You could use that name. You could go back and forth with it and find a different name. But you could essentially take that case study and use that as the foundation of like, here are the 3 core principles that transformed my client from, burnt out to, at peace and alive and engaged and joyful. And, you know, take that case study and essentially say, okay, here, ChatGPT, here's the transcription of the conversation I had with my client. Take this and turn it into a case study. And from there, give me ideas for a lead magnet that I could use to get people interested into having a initial consultation where I can then, kind of triage and decide if they want to move forward with a proposal to work together or not.
Mhm.
Here it's got your
This is perfect. This is
day by
exactly what
day
I want.
plan. Like, okay, so send an hour of sending personalized emails. Another hour schedule and plan a check-in call with current clients. Apparently you're going to eat lunch for 2 hours then. And then at 1 o'clock, write a LinkedIn post showcasing a recent success story, engage with 10 connections who could refer potential clients. So it's actually not even giving you like, do the same thing every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but each day you're doing something different, right? So Tuesday, record a short video or draft a blog, set up an ad campaign, reach out to 5 key contacts. So like, you could take this and take a look through it and say, okay, yes, I'm going to do all of these, but I'm not going to do this. Like replace my 1 to 2 o'clock with something different.
Mhm.
Oh, oh, wow. It's actually breaking it down. Yeah. Literally like September 25th to 29th.
2 weeks to make it all happen.
Yeah, you got this, man. But like this then becomes a conversation back and forth between you and, the AI, um, where it literally gets to be your mentor. You can say, you're like, what questions should I be asking you right now? Like,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like, okay, I like this and I don't like that. What question, like, how can you help me? What questions should I be asking you? And get to the point where you say, okay, I feel really good about all of the things it's recommending I do. Like, I'm going to throw out the renewal campaign. I'm going to throw out the LinkedIn ads campaign, but I'm going to do the rest of those things. So tell it that and say, okay, now update the schedule that you have for me. Right. And then like each day you could check in and say, all right, it's Monday. What's my list of priorities? Like, what do I need to accomplish today? If you ever get stuck, you're like, I feel stuck. I've been sending these messages, but no one's responding. Here's a copy of the message that I've sent. Like, what can I do to improve it? And you could just go back and forth with this and have this as your like strategic partner, really, in helping to grow your
Right.
business.
Heck yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, um, awesome.
Thank
Well,
you so much.
you're totally
It's
welcome.
just really so much value that you're offering. I'm really
Awesome.
appreciative of that.
Well, thank you. Thank you guys for showing up. I'm going to be doing this again next week. And I'll post the recording for this. Next week's topic is going to be about how do I add value to people in my network who are highly successful and maybe even feel out of your league. And how to use AI to help you figure out ways to add value, how to connect with like gatekeepers or even get past gatekeepers. And then what does it look like to like have a system that nurtures your network? So that's what we'll be talking about next week. But I feel like we can also just dive so deep into any of the things we've talked about today. There's so much to unpack with AI. And so I'm going to keep doing these every week and just continuing to unpack. And yeah, so feel free, keep showing up if this is helpful. Bring a friend if you think there's someone you know that might get value out of this. And this is just like a big conversation and slash training, to share what I know and what I'm working on, to hopefully like make a real difference for you guys. So awesome. Okay, well, I will
Oh, this
share.
is
I'll get all those.
amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, the last week, I still want, because I'm struggling like Dennis on LinkedIn, and what you said at the end of the last session, it was so good. So I kind of want to get the notes and test if I can get something out of ChatGPT based on what you said.
Yeah, the recording is up. I posted it on my personal feed, and it's on YouTube, with like a
Okay.
link to all of those GPTs. So if there's anything you need more than that, let me know.
I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
thought that you will send it out somehow, a note or something.
Yeah, I haven't emailed anything out, but I can do that. Um, but yeah, so just gonna keep on rocking and trailblazing. So,
Thank you.
hey guys, thanks so much for being here today. We'll see you next
Thanks,
time.
Natalee. Bye bye.
Welcome. Bye.